Where is my jug? Here's my jug, and this is my tub. I don't know what this is. Fishing finger. What it was?
Hang on a minute. Look at me. You know that thing you were looking for on the pool is on your face.
How did it get there? See, look at him.
Oh yeah.
Look, he's joining the workout. Drums are coming. That was a test run.
I know it's too slippery.
I think it's fair to say that this has not been the workout that I was hoping, nor was it the one I prescribed at the start. But they say that there's no such thing as a bad workout. Morning guys, it's going to be a good day today. So I've really enjoyed doing these kinds of videos where they're kind of day in the life, fly on the wall type things. So today, I've been banished to the garage, the garden and the kitchen, just because this is the new house. Everywhere's a little bit of a mess at the moment. We've got the builders in, so Hester has basically said I'm not allowed to film anything over that side of the house. We're only allowed this side. But with all of that said, what I want to do is I want to do a garage tour. So I reckon about 99% of the time at the moment I train in the garage. Minimal equipment, and I kind of just want to show what I'm doing, how I'm training in this kind of strength prehab phase. Also as well, got a lot of questions on social media, so I'm going to jump in the swim spa as well, start drilling some technique, show you some of the workouts I do in there. But before I do any of that, I'm going to have a shake, and then also I'm going to weigh myself, just because when I was in Australia, I think I actually got to like 90 kilos, or maybe a little bit under, which felt good, just in terms of like swimming biomechanics, hydrodynamics, everything was on my side. Gonna be honest, since coming back to England, I think it was just my mum's cheesecake, if I'm honest. So I had a lot of cheesecake to make up for, burgers, and I think I'm north of 90 now. I don't know how much north I am of 90, but it's I can feel it in the water. I just feel a little bit less buoyant, just kind of just sitting in the water like that a little bit. So I want to start off with that and start documenting my training as I try to become a less curvy sumo swimmer. Also as well, I promise I'm going to be more consistent with these now as well. So this year I'm aiming to do one of these videos a week. That is the goal, and I'm going to stick to it. So make sure you like and subscribe, and in return I'll bring you lots of content, probably containing cheesecake. So first up, weighing, see what I'm working with. What was I weighing out in Australia?
90.
Bang on 90.
Bang on 90.
And that was good, wasn't it? It was a curvy 90.
I thought you looked nice.
Thanks. But this, something I definitely feel because of the cheesecake. I don't know if this is going to be good news.
I think you're going to be lighter.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't bode well. Where is that?
2.3.
Where's those 2.3 kilos come from?
How did I know that?
So that's not good news. Right, that probably explains. The thing is, this is what's interesting as well, because, and hopefully we'll document a little bit of it today in the swim spa, and then we're going to go for a swim tomorrow as well. But it's so hard because of like when you're wearing like a wetsuit versus non-wetsuit, salt water, fresh water, it plays around with like just your swimming technique. So it's been hard to know where I'm actually at in terms of my training. But that is confirmed. This is probably not good. I put that is 2.3 kilos in cheesecake. Okay, I am gonna miss breakfast and go and train. So as promised, I wanted to give what is going to be my garage gym tour. It doesn't look like much, because it isn't. But this kind of, I'm going to be honest, I love this gym. It's got like sentimental value. And I think the reason I wanted to do the tour as well is because I think like 99% of the time I train in here, just because if you think about consistency with training, like I could go to a really fancy gym with loads of high-tech equipment and stuff, but I just sort of think in terms of consistently hitting training, there's never a reason why I can't train. It's, I think, like 45 seconds from the kitchen. So I'm always in here. Also as well, I remember even when I was like a little bit younger, I went through a really weird phase of training. I did the Bulgarian squat method where I needed to basically just squat every single day. So it was weird. I'd just come in here, load up the bar, whereas to travel all the way to a gym just to go squat, it would be a little bit, I don't know, very time sort of labor intensive, whereas this made it a lot easier. So I think that's the reason. But also as well, just to give you a bit of a tour. So this is my Bulldog rack. So Bulldog gear, I got this, I want to say 10 years ago now. I think I've been with this rack longer than I've been with Hester. So this has sentimental value. It's actually come to 3 different houses. I love it. I don't know if they make this anymore. That's how old this model is, but it's just amazing. Actually, shout out to Ian as well. Ian's the owner. Also as well, the dumbbells, let me give you a tour of those. So these only go up to 45. So they're the juggernauts. I do want some bigger ones, but I don't have any at the moment. But they go up to 45, which is kind of okay if I'm doing sort of single arm bent over rows, which I'll explain a little bit later. Brilliant for just that kind of scapular strength, especially when swimming. I was smashing those during my shoulder rehab. So I'll explain a little bit more about that. A lot of bands you'll notice as well. I'm not gonna say I invented, this looks so strange, especially when I've got the doors open, like neighbors will look at me. So rather than doing pull-ups, conventional pull-ups, one thing that I've been trialing recently, especially because it sort of mimics a swim stroke, is pulling, but in front of the body. It's almost like a decline lat pull down, if that makes sense. So to replicate that, I think I'd get some funny looks if I did this in a gym, but this goes over here, this goes here. It replicates more of swim stroke because I'm actually pulling down in front of me, and you'll see it's kind of pulling me back there. If I did that in a commercial gym, I would probably get sorts of strange looks. So that is one of the reasons that I think it's probably better that I'm tucked away in my own gym and I'm not allowed to integrate into society because I do weird things like that. This was so important. This is what's changed actually a lot with my training. We were just talking about this when I was like younger, back in my youth, you know, it used to always be like, what do you bench? You know, I think my biggest bench, I think it was 210, I think. I've got a video of a 180. I'll probably play, maybe now, if I can send that, but I've got a video of that. But it was really strange because I just think when you're maybe younger, like, you know, and naive, you just, you know, squat, bench, deadlift. And as I got a little bit older, I'm like, what am I actually training for now? So my PBs, it sounds really weird, but it's no longer like squat, bench, deadlift, but what do you internal, external rotate, which sounds really odd, but I think more people can just get a lot more specific with their workout. So that's been one of the biggest changes really. Little changes that you'll see. I think if I did this workout in a normal gym, like I said, banded up, hanging, doing weird pull-ups and internal, external rotation, people probably look at me odd. But at least it's training very specifically, like I said, like a swim specific, a strength prehab swim specific workout. This, which I have a love-hate relationship with, I'm not doing a workout on this today because I'm doing my anaerobic training in the pool, but usually I'll get some anaerobic training on there and it is disgusting. Medicine balls, which I will demonstrate a little bit later. This, you asked about this, interesting story. I got this in the Caribbean. It's a head that has been carved into a stone when I did a triathlon carrying a tree. And that was the trophy which the people of Nevis bestowed upon me. Happy times. Just because, and again, I talk a lot about the sort of specific training that I do that is swim specific, also shoulder specific. So I've got the 2 kilo and I've got the 5 kilo ball. If I jump in here, I've seen so I post this sometimes on social media and I've seen people doing this, but I think, and I've explained this before, basically, it comes from almost my water polo days, where it's a concentric contraction. You're throwing the ball and then you're catching it, so it's an eccentric contraction. You're basically getting the shoulder joint to work over that range of motion there. I've seen some people doing it, and I think the reason I don't often broadcast this or prescribe it as a shoulder exercise is because it can be quite difficult to do if you're not doing it right. So I've seen some people, for instance, and they're sort of doing this and they haven't got the coordination. So really all you're doing there is a tricep workout really, and you see some people like hitting their face, whereas it should be here, imagine a swim stroke, concentric, eccentric. But if you're not, and you see some people and they're sort of doing this and they're doing this, it's not actually doing anything. Well, I suppose it is. I suppose it's almost like a tricep extension, but you should be catching it here. So if you don't have the coordination to do this, I wouldn't advise you implement that into your training, basically. I just wanted to make that note because I've seen a few people who saw it and I think they started to sort of include it in their training. I was like, oh, unless you're doing it properly, I wouldn't advise doing it. I get a lot of questions about the tally. The truth is, I don't mean to be secretive or cryptic, but we've been training for a few things, like a few athletic adventures for charity. That has been amazing, but they've not quite come off. So that was that. This is basically how many days I was training, and then it's not come off for reasons outside of our control. So that's what that is, and now it just serves as a constant reminder of how much I've trained, but didn't actually get to do what I wanted to do, which is the nature of being an athlete adventurer. That's what that is. A lot of people were speculating, is that bicep curls performed? Is it cheesecakes eaten, burgers consumed? But no, it's that. And I will be able to say, when I'm allowed to say, but that's what that is. This looks like a sort of mop, but it's actually not. It's a high-tech mobility tool. But I use it for my shoulder rehab. That is essentially all the equipment that I use. I think I've covered everything. Yes, I think I've covered everything. So that is, that's like I said, I'll spend 99% of my time training in here. And I think what's gonna be really cool is as I start adding some more equipment to the garage gym, you can start to see it grow. But this is the real sort of bare bones of it. And I think the reason I wanted to do this video is just so you understand that I just don't think you need a lot as well. That's the other thing. I think like the body doesn't understand that you're in a fancy gym and high-tech equipment. It just understands stress and stimuli. So with this is where I train and serves me quite well. It does okay. So with all of that said, what I'm gonna do now, a mobility session, stretch, foam roll, cars, controlled articular rotations in the shoulders. Then I'm gonna go and jump in the swim spa because I've got loads of questions about that. So I'm gonna go and do a cheeky little workout in there. I hope you've enjoyed the garage gym tour. I talk about this loads in the blueprint. So my new book, brachiating, so just dead hanging. And it's just this idea, and I sound like a broken record, but so many people just don't use this, but it's the most underutilized form of shoulder prehab. It's basically this idea that we share a shoulder joint just with our great ape sort of cousins, and they're all brachiating, they're hanging, they're using the shoulder joint like Mother Nature intended, just hanging like this, whereas we humans, although we share the same shoulder joint, the AC joint like that, we're sat and we're just typing away at work, we're reading books, we're on our phones, we're hunched over, we're not actually using it like nature intended. So before any workout, I'm usually just dead hanging, just brachiating. I mean, it's just quite nice as well because before the pre-workouts kicked in, before you start getting yourself psyched up, you can just get in, stretch, decompress the spine at the same time, just start really switching on. There's just that period of just easing into the workout. I talk that a lot as well about neural priming, which is just this idea of just getting the central nervous system, the body, kinetic chains, how the muscles, joints, everything work cohesively together. Like if we were deadlifting right now, and you're an athletic guy or girl, you could come in and you could maybe just like rip 200, 250, whatever your PB is off the floor. but it would just be like grinding it out, ugly technique. Whereas one thing that I quite like to do sometimes when I did used to sort of power lift, you know, a lot of sort of suboptimal power cleans, snatches, things like that, to just get everything working. So when you then go to deadlift, everything's already firing. Box jumps, amazing for squats, or plyometric push-ups before your bench, or medicine ball throws, which I'm not going to do it because I don't know how strong that wall is, before you then go and bench. So there's just this idea of, like, I think a lot of people just think your warm-up should be stretched and let's go. Whereas in reality, there's so much you can do to make sure that the workouts that you do are so much more effective. Mighty 1 kilo. This is what I was talking about as well. So when people talk about like what's your PB at the minute? What are you benching? What are you squatting? One of the weird things is a lot of my PBs are kind of like, what do I perform a controlled articular rotation? So cars, it's gonna sound really weird. I've been hammering these for my shoulder. So controlled articular rotations is just basically you're taking the shoulder joint through that almost 360-degree range of motion. Just because a lot of people use their shoulder kind of in this motion, and maybe this motion, whereas it's designed to just move all the way around. So what I'll be doing, controlled articular rotations, you're looking to get strong in the end range. That's essentially what you're doing here. So using really, really light weight. You can do it without as well, but I've built up to a weight. Here, keeping everything tight, really, 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 really slow. Quite often as well, you'll just hear like cracking and crunching in the joint. What you're just trying to do is just create more space in the joint. This is really good as well, and I'll explain in a minute when I jump in the tub, in the spa. But for different front crawl techniques as well, especially when sprinting and you use more of like a straight arm technique, this is really good for that range of motion. Also as well, a few of the Olympic gymnasts at Loughborough borrowed it, and it's really served me quite well for swimming. So, is this the hottest day of the year? This is the hottest day of the year.
It's hot.
Where is my jug? Here's my jug, and this is my tub. I don't know what this is. Fishing things out. What it was. This is the problem actually. So like sometimes when I'm doing my longer sessions, I eat in here, so you can find all sorts of things in here, like just crumbs, bits of cake. And I didn't know if that was a cake or a leaf. This is the tub. So shout out actually to Bedfordshire Hot Tubs, because they kit me out with this, especially like during COVID and then through the winter. I just basically need to make sure that I always had pool time. So most of the time I'm training in lakes, pools, large puddles, but this is brilliant because it just means that even if I've only got like an hour in the day, I can jump in and just drill some technique. So that's kind of what I'm going to do today. Going to be doing some intervals. So I swim some intervals, pump this up to level 5, and I'll be swimming minute on, 30 seconds off, while going through the gears. What I mean by that is, what I'll do, I'll start off on that minute where we're sprinting. I'll start off basically bilaterally breathing. So that means breathing every 3 strokes to either side. And then we'll go from there to unilateral, where you're just breathing every one side, 1 stroke like that. And then towards the end, the last 10 seconds, so as I'm swimming, I check the watch, and then the last 10 seconds really go on an all-out sprint. And the difference between that stroke there as well is, when you're basically bilaterally breathing, it's a hip-driven stroke. So you're really just there, serape effect, obliques, and you're pulling through the stroke. When you start then going to more of a straight arm stroke, which is more the sprint speed towards that final last sort of 10 seconds, you're no longer really driving with the hips. You're quite flat, and it's really just kind of like cadence. It's just looking at arm turnover as quickly as you go. That was actually a stroke. I'm not going to say I don't think he invented it, but Michael Klim, who's a bit of a hero of mine, he was world record holder 100 freestyle. He really pioneered it a lot before then. A lot of people were sprinting with that bent arm stroke like that, whereas he just started to develop this straight arm stroke, which was almost windmilling. So you'll see me basically go through those changes in strokes in an entire minute, 30 seconds rest, and we're going to repeat that for, I don't know, if I'm honest. I'm not going to be too prescriptive. Sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's 30, could be 40. I have been known to do a minute on, 30 seconds off for 100, which roughly would be a 10K. That's the theory anyway. So with all of that said, I'm gonna call this video Technique in my tub.
Hang on a minute. Look at me. You know that thing you were looking for on the pool is on your face.
How did it get there? There it is. It was a leaf. It wasn't a cake. It wasn't a cake crumb. Was it on my face the whole time?
I only saw it at the end. But yes,
amazing. See, look at him.
Oh yeah.
Look, he's joining the workout. So aggressive. Drums are coming. That was a test run. Okay, so that's not quite gone to plan. It snapped. So I mean, I don't. That could bode well. It probably means that it was quite a fast sprint. It tastes funny. When I got to make another bungee cord, this is not the session I was hoping for. This could go wrong. Well, I've found something else to attach to. This is not the workout that I was expecting. Okay, so what I'll do before I start the workout, going through the gears. So this is bilateral breathing, every 3 strokes. This is kind of like a 1K, 5K type technique and speed and intensity. If the rope doesn't snap, it should look like this. Success! Good! Got an idea. Can I borrow you for 1 minute? Can you pull that back? Yeah, pull it.
It's not, it's not going to whip me in the face, is it?
Pull for 60 seconds.
It's going to whip me in the face,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Boyfriend of the year! Pull! A little harder! You are pulling!
Is he having me up?
Okay, 30 seconds off, a minute on. There's no I in team.
Hannah, it's too slippery. Ah!
1 hour later.
I'm not questioning your coaching ability, but I felt you could have committed more.
I mean, it kept slipping through my fingers.
I think it's fair to say that this has not been the workout that I was hoping, nor was it the one I prescribed at the start. But they say that there's no such thing as a bad workout. So essentially, probably ignore everything that I said when I introduced this workout because it's not quite gone to plan. I need to figure out how to attach this. So what I'm going to do instead is eat some protein yogurt and go and run some sprints because I still need an anaerobic session and I'm not getting it in here. That is a stash, isn't it? That is a stash. This is the simplest post-workout meal, but it's also one of my favorites. So raspberries, blueberries, diet whey, cherry bakewell, and yogurt with a birthday cake protein bar thrown in. Reason being, I think I've told this story before, so if I have and I'm boring you, I apologize. When I was hunting in Namibia, I was a Sam Bushman for a while, and we were hunting, doing a marathon a day, dehydrated, not really eating. I had a porcupine all week and this weird nut, so that was basically my diet, so I was starving. And then basically when we got back to the hotel and we'd kind of finished filming for this project, I just felt I just needed yogurt because I was thirsty and hungry, and yogurt just kind of fulfilled those both needs. So ever since, that's why I like yogurt. This is decent. Cherry bakewell. I'm not going to win MasterChef with this, but these are my favourite. PhD Smart Bars. Actually, these are my favourite, but a close second is the cookies and cream and the blondie. And like I said, on my quest to get south of 90 kilos, these are my secret weapon. So the plan now is basically to do some anaerobic conditioning. And because that didn't go very well, like I said, the band snapped, which I think is probably, I'm gonna take it as a good sign. It probably means I was swimming really, really quick. So with that said, I need to get that right, basically just the resistance with the jets, with the bungee cord. So I'm gonna play around with that a little bit later, but right now I need to do some anaerobic conditioning. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna chow down and then probably run to one of my favorite places to go train, Manly Mere, and do some anaerobic conditioning in the form of some sprints. It's not gone to plan. These are the cards that we've been dealt, and I will play them. So, even this, next stop, sprints. So as promised, it didn't quite go to plan in the tub, did it? Because I couldn't do a session, an anaerobic session in the tub, I still want to just tax that energy system. So what I'm going to do, come down to Manly Mere, one of my favourite places to train. This feels nostalgic. I always love coming back here. We've moved since we moved house, obviously, but it's nice. Been a bit of a drive, but I think it's worth it. You love it here, don't you, as well?
Yeah, it's like home, isn't it?
You love the zip line.
Yeah.
Hannah, are you going on the zip line?
Maybe.
So what I'm going to do, bust out a few sprints. This is kind of 100 meters. We're going to find out on here. It's kind of 100 meters, probably busting out about 20 of them. Fingers crossed, touch wood. And then probably get pizza. That's the plan. You can't, it's the rules.
If you do it, Hannah and I will do it.
That you have to. Especially, you've never done the swing.
Yeah.
You've never done the zip line.
Hannah will have to do it.
You have to do it. It's the law of Manly Mere. It's the law. That was quick. That is ambitious. Oh. Oh. My misters. Oh. I don't think we can have kids. Oh. That was ambitious.
That was.
I immediately regretted that. As I was approaching, I saw how quick that was. I regret my decision. Come on. Hannah.
You go first.
That was quicker. I think
that was quick.
This is the best way to finish anaerobic conditioning. You can go quicker than that. Mine was mine. Mine was so much more painful. Here we have Hannah, maiden voyage. Yeah.
I think she's ready.
No problem.
Okay, yeah. That is some speed. That was a real crowd pleaser.
That was good.
It was good, right?
It was very good. Yeah, I did actually.
So that is it's kind of a full day of training. It didn't go as planned, but it was a lot of fun. So we finished with anaerobic conditioning with a zip line, didn't we?
Yeah.
Anaerobic conditioning superset with a zip line. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. This is what I said before. I really appreciate all the comments, just because this is sort of more like day in the life type stuff. I don't have to necessarily present, you know. Hannah just kind of like follows me around and we just hang out in the garage and in the tub, and Hester jumps on the zip line, and it's just nice. It's nice for me. So if you did like it, and if you wish to subscribe. It's a good idea. Next up, I think next week, got physio, and also probably a swim, not in the tub with a bungee cord, but probably in a lake, maybe down here. Guys, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed it. I am gonna go and find some pizza.